On a frigid February morning in 1855, the residents of South Devon awoke to find their towns transformed into scenes worthy of Gothic fiction. Across rooftops, walled gardens, meadows, courtyards, even churchyards and riverbanks, ran a single line of bizarre, hoof-like prints, as though some strange, indefinable creature had traipsed across the county during the dead of night. This phenomenon would become known as the Devil's Footprints, a title reflecting both the unsettling shape of the marks and the supernatural theories they inspired. Though nearly 170 years have passed, the event remains one of Victorian Britain's most enduring and inexplicable mysteries. A winter like no other. To understand the conditions that gave rise to this strange occurrence, one must first look at the weather that winter. The beginning of 1855 saw Devon buried under weeks of persistent snow and sub-zero temperatures. The freeze had locked the Exe and Tyne rivers in ice, and each successive snowstorm only thickened the white blanket over the county. The events unfolded on the night of February 8, 1855, a Thursday marked by a turbulent mix of snowfall, sleet, and biting eastern winds. As the storm passed and the skies cleared, what remained was not merely silence and frost, but something altogether more bewildering. The first footprints. With dawn's arrival on February 9, astonished villagers across Devonshire discovered strange tracks imprinted in the snow. A correspondent, writing to the Exeter and Plymouth Gazette, described them as the trails of a most busy and mysterious animal, endowed with the power of ubiquity. These impressions were not confined to the ground. They were found scaling narrow garden walls, crossing rooftops, weaving through enclosed courtyards, and venturing up to, and then retreating from, residential doorsteps. The tracks, reportedly spaced around 8 inches apart, seemed to mimic the stride of a biped rather than a four-legged creature. Each print bore a close resemblance to a donkey's hoof, about 1.5 to 2.5 inches wide. Some impressions looked cloven, others were smooth and continuous. Their regularity and their defiance of logical path, passing over 14-foot-high walls without displacing surrounding snow, added to the enigma. No single town or village was spared. The tracks appeared across Exmouth, Limstone, Topsham, Dawlish, Tynemouth, and many others, forming a trail that by some accounts stretched up to 100 miles across the South Devon coast. Mass panic and public reaction. In Dawlish, a town known for its quiet seaside charm, local tradesmen took up arms, literally. Convinced that something malevolent stalked their town, they gathered their guns and clubs and set out to follow the tracks, hoping to confront whatever beast had left them behind. They combed through Luscombe, Dawlish Water, and Oaklands, but their efforts proved fruitless. They returned with cold feet and more questions than answers. The local press covered the story with the same mix of intrigue and incredulity. Truman's Exeter Flying Post labeled the phenomenon an excitement worthy of the Dark Ages, while the Illustrated London News gave the mystery national attention through letters from correspondents and readers alike. One such letter, signed simply as a correspondent, noted the unusual way the prints formed a perfect line. Unlike any known creature's gait, the prints did not alternate left and right, but followed a single line, as if one foot had stepped precisely in front of the other. No animal known to Victorian science moved in this fashion. A devil in the details. The reason the event came to be known as the Devil's Footprints lies in both the shape of the prints and their almost supernatural distribution. The cloven hoof mark was commonly associated with Saturn in folklore and religious iconography. British poet and writer Daniel Defoe had written about the devil's supposed cloven feet, and artists of the period often depicted the fallen angel with goat-like lower limbs. For many in deeply Christian 19th century England, these prints weren't just unexplained, they were a sign. Some believed that the devil had roamed the earth that night, inspecting homes or claiming souls. Religious parallels were drawn, including comparisons to the biblical Passover, where God moved from house to house in judgment, sparing only those marked in a specific way. The prince's habit of approaching doorways, only to double back, suggested something intentional, perhaps even intelligent. The fact that they appeared even in locked gardens and walled estates reinforced the eerie suggestion that no barrier could keep this entity out. Theories abound. As word spread, so did speculation. Within weeks, theories emerged from all corners of society. Some were scientific, others were outlandish, and a few veered dangerously close to satire. Naturalists and zoologists offered the first attempts at rational explanations. Some claimed the tracks were made by a badger, others pointed to an otter, and one enthusiastic contributor argued for the great bustard, a large and rare bird. Another reader, likely pulling the collective leg of the Victorian public, attributed the prince to a unipede, a mythical one-legged creature allegedly spotted by Norse explorer Jarni Herjolfsson in North America in 1001 AD. A slightly more grounded hypothesis proposed that a kangaroo had escaped from a local menagerie, bounding its way across Devon in the night. Others leaned toward the plausible idea of rats or other rodents, their footprints distorted by melting snow and strange hopping movements. Perhaps the most persuasive natural theory was that the tracks were formed by a series of different animals, all moving in the same path, or by weather effects that reshaped common footprints into something unnatural. Yet, none of these explanations could fully account for the consistency, stride, or placement of the marks, especially those found atop roofs or high walls, untouched on either side by snow or debris. Footmarks, not footprints. An interesting aside from the Illustrated London newsletter is the terminology used to describe the impressions. Footmarks. At the time, the word footprint had not yet solidified in popular English usage. Likewise, the art of criminal detection was in its infancy. The idea of forensic evidence, such as tracking footprints or analyzing scenes, was more literary than practical. The author of the letter even mentioned his experience tracking animals through the snow in the Canadian wilderness, expressing astonishment at the clarity and regularity of these Devon marks. Despite his familiarity with wildlife behavior and tracks, he could not offer a satisfying conclusion to what had passed through the towns. An enduring enigma. What made the Devil's Footprints story so powerful, and why it continues to fascinate today, is not just the peculiar shape of the tracks or their inexplicable path. It's the way the event highlighted the Victorian struggle between belief and reason, folklore and science, superstition and skepticism. At a time when Britain was undergoing rapid technological and intellectual change, this mystery was a reminder that not everything could be explained by microscopes, telescopes, or natural history. Even today, there is no consensus. Historians, folklorists, and amateur sleuths continue to debate whether the prints were made by a mundane animal, a meteorological illusion, or something far stranger. Echoes in the snow. In the years since, sightings of similar unexplained footprints have occasionally surfaced in England and elsewhere, but none have come close to matching the scale and eeriness of the 1855 event. Modern documentaries, podcasts, and books revisit the tale every few years, reviving public interest and retelling the legend for new generations. For many, it's the ultimate unsolved mystery, one that continues to chill the imagination like a sudden gust of February wind. Whether you believe the devil walked Devon that snowy night, or that the mystery is just an elaborate misunderstanding preserved by folklore, one thing is certain: the devil's footprints remain a haunting footnote in British history. Still searching for answers. After nearly 2 centuries, the strange journey of the hoof-like tracks across Devon remains unexplained. It is a mystery that captures the very essence of what makes certain stories timeless, strange enough to defy reason, but grounded enough to be credible. The Devil's Footprints is more than just an old local legend. It's a mirror reflecting our need to understand the unexplainable, and a reminder that some mysteries, whether born of snow, superstition, or something else, are destined to endure. And there you have it, the chilling tale of the devil's footprints. Was it a hoax, a misidentified animal, or something otherworldly? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this strange journey into history's shadows, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and maybe keep an eye on the snow next winter.